Welcome back. So the theme of this year is going to be a pilgrimage back to integrity. We're going to return to integrity together. All of us are on this journey together. Even though you're going it alone at your own pace, we're linked together. Inside every one of us, beyond, we are connected to one being, one consciousness, one essence of ourselves. We say in the Toltec tradition that each of us has a unique individual ray of light that goes from the source of light, which we call the sun, to the center of the universe, which is referred to as the earth. We don't mean that literally, it's this sun, this earth. We mean that there is a source of light. Each one of us has a unique, integral ray of that light that informs, ennobles us, loves us, nourishes us as a soul, and connects us to everything else in this universe. That ray of light, that connection, is the commander-in-chief of your soul and spirit. To return to integrity means to return to the governance of that ray of light. And all the other parts of you which have been at war with each other, arguing, in distress, instinctively return to integrity when the commander-in-chief is in charge. Now, that return to integrity sometimes is difficult. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it involves crisis. Sometimes it's very smooth and very easy. But upon that return, everything feels better. And that ray of light, that spiritual soul of you, imbues and imparts in every part of yourself, you. Now, I'm using words to describe something that's really beyond words, that you have a feeling for. Even if you don't really understand the words I'm using, I'm speaking to that part of you. That's basically our journey. What connects us all in that light, the glue, is love. Love is the glue that connects everything and everybody to that integrity, and that's the feeling of it. That's what spiritual health and spiritual healing is about. Now, I've been in this work for decades, and I can say that it seems like it has been changing. Early on, the main task was to see how were we in accord with our integrity and how were we out of accord with our integrity. Whether it was your liver in integrity or out of integrity, your heart, your second chakra, your ideas and concepts and belief systems or not. So the story went something like this. As a soul, you were born into a physical body. That physical body had a genetic makeup. You have a biological inheritance. Perhaps you even had what I call an akashic inheritance, which is to say you collected vibrations and residues that look like you had some past life experience here on the planet. In addition to that, you had a spiritual inheritance. That is the little strands of DNA and light that connect us to all of the other masters and teachings that you have experienced over lifetime after lifetime. At any rate, you bring that in and you're raised by a parent or parents, and they impart to you, to their best ability, their understanding of life as it was given to them, generation after generation, one after another. Much of what they taught you was valuable and helpful for you on your way, and also much of what they taught you was inadequate or not exactly correct or fearful or conflicting, and put you in conflict with your innate abilities and talents, your innate thrust and purpose, and your basic drive in nature. To the extent that you were taught to be something other than what you were, causes distress for you, even though it may perhaps have helped you survive in this society. So we looked at your beliefs and concepts. What were the blocks that you inherited from your mother and father? At what ages did they begin? What were the net effects on you and how you lived your life? And how do we shed light on them, change them, and go about living a new life? We call them blocks, belief systems, concepts, agreements, conditioning. We call this programming that we all got conditioning, or domestication, many different things in each different area. So a good deal of our healing was based on identifying these inherited and imposed upon conditions and blockages and clearing them up. And each of those conditions and blockages, of course, affected the flow of energy in your system and your chakras and your meridians, which then led to energy shortages and excesses and blockages, which in turn led to physical illnesses and ailments and symptoms. In addition to clearing up those beliefs and concepts and domestication, we work directly on those energetic systems, including the meridians, the gland system, the organ system, the chakras, the layers in the body, the spheres of influence, and so on, to help unwind the energy which freed the body up to finish processing and come back to rest, but also gave you a chance to escape back to your original conception of light and life. We also did work on bringing you to the state of love by showing it to you, meditating with it, bringing you to different states of consciousness so that you can taste them and see them and then have a choice about where you can go. Fundamentally, society was society. You were programmed by a human dream when you began language, and then once your parents were done, they passed you on to a school system which also taught you how to program computers, how to read, write, and do arithmetic, and also some concepts about civil society and nature. And then you went on to an employer, and then you got married, and so on and so forth. So all of that had to be kind of unwrapped and unraveled in the context of a society of the time, what we call the tonal of the times, the way people think. And that society had its strengths and weaknesses, it had its health, and it had its own diseases. And that was spiritual healing. When you unraveled yourself and found your true sense and your true profession, and you cleared up the ways your thinking were not helpful to you, what I call unsane thinking, not insane thinking, and recreated new agreements, new belief systems that were more in concert with how you felt, and you learned how to do that and how to shift your states of consciousness, then your healing was over. You went on with your life and you did your profession. And that's pretty much the way spiritual healing has gone for the last couple of thousand years to 100 years. But something is shifting very rapidly on this planet, and it's one of the reasons why I think this particular school is in session now. And that is that our human evolution is moving very fast. It's not too hard to look at the planet and see that the collective human actions are affecting our environment, that the system that we have been operating on in Western society is pretty much penetrating every aspect of human life on the planet, that human population has grown much higher than it has been, that certain types of physical illnesses are accelerating and growing very rapidly, that technology is moving us as a virtual being in charge of this body into a virtual being in charge of silicon chips and the like. Things are shifting. The light is changing very rapidly, and things are happening on the planet that are accelerated and possibly different from what's gone on before. So that even if you were a person who's come through that process before and you cleared up your personal things, the information and the consciousness is shifting so rapidly on this planet that what you did 2 years ago no longer will serve you by itself now. You have to keep up with the shifts because it's shifting that rapidly. And that means we have to be in a constant pilgrimage to our integrity. That doesn't mean we're broken. It doesn't mean we're sick. It doesn't mean that anything was wrong. It just means that spirit and energy are inviting us to move faster and fly higher than we have before. And those of you who have this calling, you're going to go back over and over again what looks like you're going back over old ground. In fact, you're seeing it with new eyes. You're seeing it from a new place. And all of these old techniques that I've been teaching for 3 or 4 decades about clearing chakras and clearing blocks and looking at family inheritance and clearing up your inheritance and so on and so forth, we're still going to be doing them. Those techniques are valid, but the idea that we're clearing you up for your, to kind of go to a static place and you're sort of done, I don't think applies anymore. This is completely doing the sharpening of our tools over and over again. The continuous, loving evolution, making love to life as it keeps shifting to us and keeping up with us that we're in the process with. So we're going to teach those tools and techniques. We're going to practice those tools and techniques, but it's going to keep shifting. We're going to need to be together in moral support of each other more than we ever have had to do. So that's why we're here, that's why we're in session, and that's where we're going.